The split second of hesitation that cost Team Canada the gold medal and made history for the United States. Now, every American is going to remember this as a Jack Hughes moment. It's the golden goal. And it's the first time the US has won a gold medal in men's hockey since the Miracle on Ice. But for Canadians, if you slow it down, the story is actually 1 second earlier. It's a tiny moment of hesitation from Nathan MacKinnon. And that tiny moment of hesitation creates just enough space for Zach Werenski to win the battle, slide the puck over to Hughes, and history is made. Now, this video isn't about calling out MacKinnon and saying, oh, he sucks, what was he doing? He's one of the best players in the world. But I'm a professional mental performance coach for pro, D1, and high-level junior players. And what happened with MacKinnon there is a lesson that any player can take no matter what country you're from. And that lesson is the second you hesitate, you stop creating and you start reacting. Now, but I need you to understand that if one of the best players on earth, arguably the best player, can hesitate under pressure, what do you think is going to happen when you're tired, nervous, and try not to make a mistake in a big game? That's why in this video, I'm going to show you exactly where hesitation comes from in your mind, how to find the deep fear that's triggering it, and a simple way to train decisively so you never hesitate in a big moment like MacKinnon did. All right, so before we talk about where hesitation comes from, we got to be very clear about what hesitation actually looks like on the ice. Because most players think hesitation means you just freeze, but that's not what it usually is. Hesitation is decision delay. It's that tiny gap between seeing the play and committing to the play and taking an action. And it shows up in very predictable ways in most players' game. On offense, hesitation looks like you get the puck, there's a small window, and instead of holding it for an extra second, you chip it away. Maybe you dump it down low on a rush. You throw it away in your own zone. Or you get the puck with a little space and you instantly pass it off even though you had time. Maybe you're attacking on the rush and you avoid the middle. You get a chance to drive the net and you don't attack the hands. Those are the things you're going to see on offense. And it's not because you don't have the skill, it's because your brain keeps trying to keep you safe. And on defense, it's the same thing. You see a chance to close and end the play, but you hesitate. You're a half second late. You reach instead of skate. You back in instead of stepping up. Or maybe you contain instead of just killing the play. Or in MacKinnon's case, there's a chance to step up, you have the space to do it, and you hesitate for that moment thinking, oh no, what if I accidentally overcommit and they go in on a breakaway? Now here's the key point. Hesitation isn't neutral. Every time you hesitate, you're giving time and space to the other team. And at the higher levels, time and space basically means a goal against waiting to happen. Now, one thing before we get into the how-to of this lesson, if you want real help fixing hesitation in your game and mastering your confidence and hockey IQ, then click the link below. And if you just want to get started with mental training, click the second link below and it'll take you through our free mental training course. All right, let's keep going. Now here's the important part I need you to understand. Hesitation does not come from a lack of skill. It comes from a lack of safety. And what I mean by safety is that when there's a big moment, your brain doesn't ask what's the best play. For most players, it defaults to what's the safest play. That's exactly why players can look unreal in practice, but the second the game starts, they just fall apart. Pressure flips the switch from creation mode to protection mode. But where does this pressure and hesitation really come from? Almost always it's fear. And that fear usually falls into 3 buckets. Number 1, fear of making a mistake. And it's not just the turnover, but what the turnover means. It means getting yelled at, losing ice time, letting your teammates down. And maybe you're not going to be the guy that everybody relies on and looks up to. Number 2 is fear of consequences, which is very similar, but it's your brain remembering back to a time when something already happened and trying to prevent that bad thing from happening. Maybe you turned the puck over and got scored on before. Maybe your coach already yelled at you once, so you remember back to that moment. That memory of the pain pulls you back into playing it safe. And number 3 is fear of identity loss. This means you don't want to look stupid. Maybe you don't want to look careless in your own end and turn it over. You don't want to lose trust with the people around you. And similar to the first one, you just don't want to lose that status of I'm the guy. Now, all 3 of these things all kind of intertwine, but the important thing to realize is they all come down to fear of loss, fear of pain, fear of something negative. And so you can almost see this in MacKinnon's brain when he hesitates there. His brain is basically negotiating in real time. Maybe I shouldn't. What if it doesn't work? What if I'm the reason we lose the gold medal game? And that tiny negotiation is hesitation. So this is where we're going to get practical, because if you don't know exactly what fear is, you'll keep trying to convince yourself that if you just tell yourself to play confident enough, everything's going to change. But the thing is, if you keep trying that and you say, be confident today, nothing's going to change. So step 1 to fixing this is something I call a fear point scan. I want you to think about the last 3 games you played and think about where you hesitated. Was it when I had a lane and I didn't drive the middle? Was it on the breakout when I had a play, but instead I just chipped it away? Was it defensively when you could have closed the gap, but instead you backed off? Pick the most common situation out of all 3 games that you're thinking back to. Now, step 2 is the 5 whys. Ask yourself, why did I hesitate? And whatever your answer is, ask why again, and do this 5 times. So it might look like this. Why did I hesitate? Because I didn't want to turn it over. Why didn't I want to turn it over? Because I didn't want it to end up in the back of our net. Why does that matter so much? Because then I'm the reason we lose. What's the problem with being the reason we lose? Because I'm terrified of losing the coach's trust. And why am I terrified of losing the coach's trust? Because if I lose the coach's trust, trust, then I lose ice time and now my whole season's cooked. Now that's the real fear, or at least that's a deeper level of the fear. You can keep going with this. You don't have to ask just 5 whys. You can go as far as you want. Once you get to a point where you can very clearly say, okay, I see it. This is the exact thing I'm truly scared of. Something huge happens. You stop fighting the game. You realize what the actual trigger is in your mind that's been hijacking your decisions and making you hesitate. So now here is how we actually solve it. Because once you know the trigger, the goal isn't now to just hope you're confident again. The goal is that you actually have to deal with the fear and learn to sit with it so that it dissipates and it stops feeling so painful in your system, which is something I call the samurai method. So all you have to do with this, sit down in silence for 10 minutes and simply bring up the negative situation, visualize it, and I want you to sit with whatever that feeling is. Feel it in your body. Get curious about it. Just be with it. If it starts to go away, visualize the situation again, be with it again until you can visualize the situation without there being any fear at all. This is extremely powerful, and that's why it's the first step. And here's the second step. You need to create a system for confident decision making. So first, you pre-decide in any given moment, what would your if-then rule be? If I'm here, then I do this. If this happens, I do this. Because ultimately, hesitation lives in the question mark. It's the unknown. It's the I'm not exactly sure what the right play is. So the goal is to remove the question mark and make it a period. For example, if you get the puck on the wall with space, then I hold it for an extra second and I make a play. If the gap opens up in the middle, I take it, I drive the net, I make a play. If I'm defending and I have body position, then I close and I finish the play right away. Now you can go a lot deeper with these visualizations, which we do with all our players, but you have to realize it's about having a clear moment, it's a clear rule, and that's what I do. When you have that conviction, yes, you will be able to respond differently to different types of situations, the nuances of maybe you hold it a little longer, maybe you get rid of it a little quicker, but you have to build that clarity of this is what I do overall in this situation and not have the unknown. Now, the second piece to this is you can't just see it and say, oh, just because I visualized a few times it's going to work. You can't just see it, you have to feel it. And I say this because the language of the subconscious mind is emotion. So I need you to see the actual situation, practice the situation you've been in where you hesitated before. And again, now I need you to practice feeling exactly how you want to feel. The feeling of calm, the certainty, the aggression, or whatever fits there. I want you to feel it in your whole body. And I don't want you to do just one rep. I want you to do tons of reps, at least 10 to 20 at a time. Now, as you do this and as you make this play, the third step is I want you to have a cue word that you can use for games to remind yourself of this emotion. This will be something that snaps you back into that style of play that you want to be in, that state you want to be in, because you've tied it to the feeling that you've been visualizing. So every time you visualize that successful rep, I want you to say go or close or hold or attack, because in the game, you don't have time for paragraphs. You need a clear trigger. So that's the formula. Identify the fear, sit with it until it becomes neutral, create clear if-then decisions, rep it with emotion, and then tie it to a cue word so that you can say that cue word in games. This is exactly what I teach my pro, D1, and high-level junior players. And if you do that, you won't just be hoping, you will know with certainty you will make the right plays. And if you don't, at least you'll know that you didn't hesitate. And you can learn from the film, you can get better, and you can come back the next game even better than you were before. So that's the real lesson I take away from the golden goal and that I've taught a lot of my players. For MacKinnon, it wasn't a lack of talent, it wasn't a lack of effort, it was a split-second hesitation where it created just enough space, and that space became history for the United States. As someone who's born in Canada, congrats US, that was an awesome game, probably one of the best games of all time, if not the best. And if you're a player watching this, I want you to take this one thing from the video. Hesitation isn't a skill problem, it's a fear trigger. Get to the root of it, learn to rewire it, and when you learn to rewire your subconscious mind, you become the player you know you can be. Now, if you want help going very deep with the mental game and improving things like hesitation, becoming the player super confident on the ice, and someone who has that elite hockey IQ to make effective decisions in any situation because you have the principles of the best players in the world, then click that first link below, apply to work with us, and we'll let you know honestly if we think we can help. We don't waste anybody's time. We'll tell you straight up if we think we can help or if we think we can't. And if we do think we can help, I'm super excited to do it because I love this stuff. This is my passion, and I can't wait to work with you. If you don't do that and you just keep watching the videos, comment below what videos you want to see next for free, and I hope you have your best week yet. See ya.